Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're here with Banner of the Stars 2, Episode 2. Like I said before, I am glad that we are not entirely focusing on the fleet stuff. I think, perhaps if we compare Banner of the Stars Episode 1 to Banner of the Stars 2 Episode 1, we might find that a lot of similar stuff takes place. However, this one was not filled with quite so many flashbacks to the first season. But even then, Banner of the Stars 1, Episode 1, sorry, it's already getting confusing in my head. It's not even that confusing. Had a lot more character centric stuff happening, which was good. But then the season turned into wide spanning conflict, fleet movements, etc. So I'm hoping that this season sticks to the premise that it's given us in the first episode. I guess even then, though, we still get scenes of the twins and DeSanyo. I will also say the Duchess, but I'm not going to discount the Duchess. The Duchess is the most entertaining part of the entire fleet engagement stuff. But even then, well, we focus more on Jinto and Lafiel, what happened to them at the very end, and how they go to today. And we get introduced to Lafiel's younger brother and a little bit more of what her dad is like. And I guess the fact that he's going to be more present in this season. Obviously, he wasn't present last season, but at least showed up at the end of Crest of the Stars. The fact that he's entering the service, though, as is its duty, because he can't, like, sit in the sidelines anymore. So I kind of appreciate that, but I'm hoping that we didn't get a scene with him and his son just to indicate that fact. Like, I hope both of them come into play this season. I don't see how they possibly could, but I'm hoping it's more of a character issue and less of a, logistics thing. Additionally, this season started off with a flash forwards of possibly Jinto dying, which I appreciate and gives me hope for the season more so than previous seasons have, because both previous seasons have started with um sorry, mind blank there for a second. The whole space battle thing, right? We had the crest of the stars space battle, which was confusing because we didn't know if we had gotten the wrong episode or something. Not because it was like, well, this is a weird way to start, but more so they were doing it in the Ob language without any translation, and it's like, did I get an subbed copy? What's going on here? And then we expected that in the second time because the first episode was got the Gosroth battle that happens later in the season. And in the Banner of the Stars first one, I think that is the boss royals fight later on in the season, if memory serves. Sorry, it's been a couple weeks. So yeah, I appreciate the more character narrative focus of the Jinto Lafiel possible death scene flash forwards way more than I do a ship possibly being destroyed. I understand that if a ship gets destroyed, then everybody on board has the chance to be destroyed, but it's harder to be concerned about your connection to a bunch of characters at once than it is to be concerned about an individual, right? It's that whole Joker Batman thing, right? One is a travesty, a thousand is a statistic. Actually, I think that's a Marilyn Manson line. It's probably also some historical figures line. I don't know. My mind just blanked all of a sudden. But yeah, the idea is also, I think, like if you ever watch Star Trek, right? You're not concerned that the ship is going to explode. Your concern is when the character is in individual danger. Or I guess maybe Star Trek 1 might when or sorry, Wrath of Khan, say Star Trek 2, when the ship gets attacked and a section gets hit and it's Scotty's nephew that dies. It's like, okay, Those are the very concerning parts. So seeing Jinto on the edge of death, do I think Jinto's gonna die? No, probably not. Do I think it's possible though, considering how much show is left after the season? Maybe. It really depends on how hard the show wants to go. If Jinto dies at the end of Banner of the Stars 2, and I think Banner of the Stars 3 is very short, they could convincingly pull off a this is Lafiel's story after the at the very end of everything. That would be a hell of a way to pull it off. Meta narratively, I'd be happy with that. Short term, I would be very sad that Jinto died. I don't want to see Jinto die, obviously. I'm connected to the character. He's a point of view character for obviously us normal humans. So, yeah. In a meta narrative, in the long term, like maybe like a year after this, I sit back here and I remember that watch through of the Stars series. I think, God, that was a good series. I can't I can't believe they pulled that off and they managed to actually kill the main character and whatnot. But in the short term, I'm gonna hate it. I'll hate it, but I'll have wanted it to happen. I don't know what that's kind of called, that dissonance of wanting something that you'll hate or hating something that you love. Either way, I think I've been ranting and raving and rambling for quite a while now. I think it's about time we just go ahead and get into the show. So, without much to do, let's get into it. This doesn't bode well. We're doing the same thing from last season. Okay, at least it's not the same one as last time though. Alright, right where we left off last time.
But
it's just so low tech that you thought you were under attack by a radio?
現在4カ所からの更新要請を受けています。領民政府からの通信を優先。それが全ての通信が領民政府の代表だと主張している。
But yeah, I'm right. From last time, right? I said there would be a bunch of different factions.
頼む。エクレア護衛書士、全ての通信回線を開いてくれ。なんか偉そう。いや、だから僕は領主副代行として話すわけ。出ます。
One of their connections seems to be a bit shoddy. Oh, okay. What are you going to focus on? Guy in the upper left, his connection was all staticky and shoddy, which makes me think that his faction is pretty bad or doing poorly at the moment. If their best connection to send to an incoming OB ship is going, you know, weird. The other three didn't have that problem. I think on the next time on, we know that the woman in the bottom right is the matriarchal faction, right? The pro-women, don't need any man sort of thing. I mean, only because she basically said as much. I don't know what the other two. I think the top left one, the one I'm saying is doing poorly, was like a trickster guy. I don't remember why or based on what. Maybe just because of the way he looks. The other two, I have no idea. Obviously, maybe the guy with the scar down the side of his face. is going to be the warrior people. I don't know. It's that problem where in anime, or I guess in any media, you try to categorize everybody strongly in one camp. Now, they can have their wildly different subsets of quirks and whatnot, but you give one quirk more weight over all the others, and that's how you identify them.
こちら環境カリーク射出準備完了了解こちらカリーク各部異常なし噴射開始射出機構作動します射出
I really feel like, and not just based on the first episode's flash forward, that going down to the planet would be a horrible idea.
ジンとちょっと待ってください自分は領主副代行のハイド伯爵ですこちらが領主代行のパリューニ主爵殿下ご理解いただけるでしょうがいささか困惑しています一つの地上世界に領民政府が4つもあるとは予測していませんでしたそれでちょっと待ってください
Has any real governments? That's a weird tack to take.
今我々は4つの回線を同時に開いているわけでして
どうしてそんなことを
こうした方が状況を整理するのに有効だと判断したからですそうであればよいがなそれぞれの立場を明確にしていただきたいと思います
私は第二ロブナスの行政長官ゲオル・メイディーンだ遺憾ながら我が政権が帝国に制圧された現状に鑑みて住民の利益を代表する責務は本職に負わされたと理解している
政権首相はどうなさったん
I
です
feel
か
like this is an
当地
excellent
には
way
政権首相が存在しない我が
to
政権にはいささ
bog
か特
down
殊な事情があり
your
中央
conquerors.
政府任命による行政長官が政権の最高責任者となるつまり今私だが
Especially when they're so off-put by ground forces as it is.
ロブナスの正当な政権首相です。
はどうもメイディン氏のお話と矛盾するようですが
単なる法解釈の違いに過ぎませんよ。私は公明正大な選挙の結果選出されたのです。ほんの1年前に中央政府から派遣されてきた役人とは違います。
それを言うなら貴様が首相を選出したのはほんの3時間前だろうが大体何が公明正大な選挙だ仲間内で勝手に盛り上がっただけに過ぎんじゃないか
有権者名簿ならお見せできますよ。
だからそれに乗っているのはお前の仲間だけだろうが
次の方お願いいたします
私も公正な選挙で選ばれた政
Okay,
権
camera. You're always doing this.
名前はララシャンガルでも首相閣下と呼ばれるのが好みね
そうですか
I mean, based
あ
on
なた
what?
の政権首相なんですか
そんな肩書きはいらない選挙で選ばれたわけでもないとにかくこの星は俺たちが仕切るのが神の御心に沿うのだ何しろ俺たちが一番強いんだからな
I didn't anticipate a religious angle from this guy.
アングナス
選挙でないとしたら何で選ばれたのですか
腕っぷしと人望と神の見業だ
なるほど
I mean, he's got the
何か
weakest
複雑な
argument.
事情が
Well,
あるのようですねよろしければ
second
状
weakest.
況が整理されるまで待ちたいと思いますが
そんな暇はないのだ
I mean, not to point her out, but the woman didn't even give any argument. She just said, "Call me, Madame Prime Minister."
どういうことも何も私を代表と認めて直ちに援助をいただきたい
援助ですか
できないとおっしゃるのか
内容にもよりますがそんなことはありません少なくとも領民の皆さんが生きていけるだけの物資はすぐに渡せます
それでは直ちに行政庁の管理下にお引き渡しいただきたい報復の手続きが必要ならすぐ実行しようすでに食糧難が始まっているのだ配給を急がねばならんそして公平に分配できるのは我々だけだ奴らに渡しても仲間内で独占するに決まっている
そんなことはない。すべての住民が仲間です。皆さんにもち
Ah,
ゃん
this
とお
really
分けしま
feels
す
like a Prime Directive,
こ
Star
れで
Trek,
勢
and
力
all
の
that.
拡大を図るつもりだろうが
男なんて信用できない私には女性たちを守る義務があるのよ
役人に玉なしに女どいつも受け取る資格はない 食料をちゃんと守れるのは俺たちだけだ。聞いたかね。こんな奴に渡したらどうなるか。
内乱が起こってるのか。
寸前と言えるだろうね。
一体どういうことなんだ。
I mean, at this point, it feels like just let him have it out.
ここの住民のほとんどは
Whoever comes out on top, you can give the food to.
大気圏突入まであと30秒です。対衝撃用意。反物質燃料層安定状態へ移行。総員の対衝撃姿勢を確認。重力制御機関停止します。高架軌道初限確認。
Seriously, going down to the planet seems like a horrible idea.
10秒前。8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1、突入します。
つまり第二ロブナスは惑星ごと刑務所なんですか。
我々は強制施設と呼んでいるがね。
すると他のお三方はその囚人なのですか。
そういった決めつけには承服できませんな。確かに我々は人類統合体の定めによりこの惑星へ強制移住させられました。しかし現在ロブナスは統合体の支配から離れている。
知らなかった。
従って我々の
それともわざとこの因果の請求を押し付けたのか。
I mean, if the other three are actually
いかがでしょう。
just former
ここは
prisoners,
民主的に総選挙を実施して改めて正式な代表を選出するという。
then I would just go with the administration from the previous
選挙管理委
rule.
員会ってなんだ。
Because then at least you know that guy was sent there for a reason.
君に向い
Then
て
you
いる
can
仕事を
institute your own reforms after the
バカ
fact.
にしてるのか。
冗談ではない。選挙などやってみろ。必ず受刑者が当選するだろう。何しろ刑務官よりずっと多いのだからな。
やってみなければわかりませんよ。我々元受刑者は分裂していますからね。案外元刑務官の皆さんとそのご家族が一致してメイディン氏を支持すれば。
お前たちは今でも受刑者だし、私の部下も現役の刑務官だ。
一旦更新を打ち切ろうと思うけどいいかな。うん。切るの？そうだよ。皆さん、こちらから通信を取るまでしばらくお待ちください。思ったより
Just go with the current administration,
そなたは
continue the whole operation, and then institute administrative change
正しい相手と取引することです。
as necessary.
守備よく安い値段で仕入れる取引をまとめても相手が品物を持っていないと話になりません。
では誰が品物を持っていると思う？
正しい相手がいるとしたらそれはメイディン氏です。人口とその分布を
Right.
把握し整備された官僚組織を持っているのは
Plus, he has all the guards working for
他
him.
にないでしょう。
なんだ、結局大本命が相手か。つまらん。
同感だね。
そなたたち、私は事態を面白くするために意表をつくつもりはないぞ。行政長官との回線を開くがよい。本当に？本当にだ。
早かったな。
そなたを領民代表と認めよう。
当然の結果だと認識している。
そなたが私を領主と認めれば、それで手続きを完了する。
無論認める。早急に
At the
物資の
very
援助をい
least,
ただきたい。
if this is a mistake,
荷を下ろす
I'm
港を
making
指
the
定する
same
がよい。
mistake as the show.
ありがたい。だがその前に言っておかなければならないことがある。
なんだ？
我々は中央政府の武力を背景にして受刑者を管理してきた。ところが艦隊は君たちに駆逐されてしまった。正直な話、惑星上の警察力だけで彼らを抑えておく自信がない。
軍事力なら我らにも少しは持ち合わせがあるぞ。
失礼ながらあなた方は十分な地上戦能力をお持ちか。
地上戦って
We gotta transport
囚人たち
two
に武装を許
transports,
してい
right?
るわ
Full
け
of
でもないでしょう。
something.
もちろん受刑者が武器を所持することは禁止されている。だが残念ながら規則が必ずしも守られているとは。いや、回りくどい言い方はよそう。彼らが武器を持っているのは分かっている。原始的な火薬銃がせいぜいだろうが、それでも使いようによっては十分な脅威だ。
反乱が起これば我らは食料の供給を止める。なんなら惑星の大気をちょっと吹き飛ばしてやってもよい。 それで反乱は止むんじゃないかな。
アブは、いえ、我々はその地上世界を処置するときにいささかやりすぎる傾向があるんです。
I mean, to be fair,
決して悪意からではなく、
that would only scare the shit out of people with something to lose, like the administration.
本当に悪気はないのですよ。
それが大気層を失った惑星にとって何か慰めになるのかね。
確かに。まあ食料供給停止はともかく、空間からの地表攻撃は要請がない場合行われないでしょう。
誰が集団自殺の要請などするものか。
ですが地上への攻撃もあり得ることを周知徹底させておけば抑止力になるのではないでしょうか。
Again, that only works against reasonable people.
念のために申し添えるが、
This
領
planet
主
does
大
not
皇殿下
seem
の努力を
reasonable.
疑っているわけではない。この地にまつわる事柄が帝国にとって取るに足らない些細な問題であることも理解しているつもりだ。感謝する。
It's though becoming more and more obvious how Jinto is going to wind up in his position.
領主副代行、あと12分で降下完了です。
I do regret siding with that guy so quickly, though, considering his whole position of we don't have the forces to do the thing we said.
それより本当に大丈夫なんですか。
停泊中の突撃艦ぐらい若い連中で大丈夫さ。今んとこおもりが必要なのは君の方に思えるんでね。下は凶悪犯の住処なんだろ。何より久しぶりの地表だ。この機会を逃すわけにはいか
It'll
ない
be
ね。
Samson's chance to prove if he's
どうせ何もありませんよ。
actually good at combat. I mean, we know he's good in a space fight.
目的地ラジェイトを確認。
現在
But I imagine he got the scar from somewhere.
着水用意。第1、第2、第3部隊展開。
風力 0.54。完成制御の必要を認めず。
第1速度誤差 0.02。高度5000ダージ。4500。
That kind of reminds me of landing in Top Gun for some reason. The video game, the Nintendo video game, or Atari, one of those two. Where are the transports at, though?
青い海に青い空。地上世界はこうでなくっちゃな。潮の香りだ。
潮の香り。
ええ、これが潮の香りだ。海は大抵こんな匂いがする。知らなかったな。
Well, all salt oceans smell like this.
初めてですから。
なるほど。いや、とにかく標準的な海の証拠だよ。たとえここが陰気な刑務所惑星でもな。
Imagine it's space with thousands of inhabited planets. Some of them might not be salt oceans.
そういえば直にお目にかかるのは初めてだったな、ハイド伯爵閣下。それでは現在の状況を説明しよう。現在この惑星で唯一人の住むラジエ島だ。赤い区域が強制区、白い方が管陸だ。管陸にはこの行政庁をはじめとする諸施設、
It's like all those other sci-fi movies where you put
商店などがある。強制区には言
the
うまでもなく
prisoners on like the uncontrolled wilds, and there's like one position
兵だよ。東が男性区域、西が
that's
女性区域、
controlled by the people off
中央
planet.
が混在区域だ。それぞれ東部、西部、中央強制区と呼ばれている。覚えやすくていいだろう。
みんな中央強制区に住みたがるんじゃないですか。
混在区域に住むには条件がある。
模範的であるとか。
違う。不妊処置を受けることだ。
不妊処置。
役人に玉の死に女。どいつも受け取る資格はない。
No, it's because it's mixed.
3人の首相閣下。 それぞれの地域の代表者なのですね。
そうだ。
西部が多分シャンガル女子ですね。中央がドクフー氏、東部がアンガスン氏では。
大したものだ閣下、その通りだよ。
たまたまです。
なぜ全員に不妊処置を施さないんです？
強制的にか。そんな非人道的なことはできない。もっとも帝国がそうするなら反対はしないが。
I could never do such a
そんなこ
thing
としませんよ。
unless you want to,
基本
of
的に帝
course.
国は
And then I
地上
could
世界
do
の内政
that.
に干渉しません。
結構なことだが、今はぜひ干渉していただきたい気分だな。
どういうことです？
例の抑止力だが、あまり効果がないようだ。東部共生区の囚人たちが武器を持って集合している。
ここを襲うつもりだとおっしゃるのですか？
The gods on my
その
side,
可能
guy.
性が高いように思うが、案外中央共生区に侵入し
It's
よ
hard
う
to
としてい
defeat
る
a
のかもしれ
religious
ない。
fervor, I
当然
suppose.
西部共生区の女性たちが最終目標だろう。
それは大変ですね。
君には事態の深刻さが分かっていない。失礼した伯爵閣下。
いえ、
ここにいるのはもちろん犯罪者だ。だが道を踏み外す過程で被害者になったことがある者も多い。彼女たちのほとんどはその経験が犯罪へ走るきっかけになった。そして大抵その犯罪は性に関するものだ。彼女たちは男のいない世界を望んであそこにいるんだよ。
男なんて信用できない。私には女性たちを守る義務があるのよ。
You know, it really makes that camera pan to sexualize her on first viewing
まるで
so much
今後
more
の状況に
egregious
責
when
任
you
を持っ
think
ておら
about
れ
it.
ないような言い方をなさっていますが、
ああ、そうだ。それを最初に言うべきだったかもしれない。
That was an animation director that knew what they were doing despite the
さらに商店
story.
経営などの民間人全員亡命を希望する。
なぜです？
推察いただけるものと思うな。
つまり囚人たちが暴動を起こす危険があるからですか？
その通り。
要請は承りました。領主代行であるパリウヌ子爵殿下と協議し、諾否を決めましょう。
そんな悠長なことを言ってる場合かね。今にも内乱が起こりそうなのだぞ。帝国はそれを望むのか。
皆さんがここから旅立った後でも十分に内乱の可能性は残っているように思えますが、
どちらかというと管理していた側がごっそりいなくなるんだから可能性は高まりそうですな。
そういう見方もあるな。
ともかくそんなにはお待たせしないつもりですが、結論を下す前に状況をもう少し把握しなくては。
無論協力は惜しまない。
あれ、僕らが協力してもらってるんだっけ？
そういえばまだ伺っていませんでしたが、亡命を希望される人数はどのくらいなんです？
詳しい名簿は後ほど渡すが、確か2万人ぐらいだと。
2万人。
I mean,
大丈夫ですよ。
this is like a friggin' evacuation. This isn't a territorial thing
失
anymore.
礼しました。そろそろ主系列抑止士も商談に入った頃でしょうか。
監督がついているんだ。心配ないだろう。
そうですね。
そなた、もうすぐ地上世界に降りるんじゃなかったのか？
もうそんな時間か。すぐ行くよ。地上のお土産は何がいい？
バカ。
They're cute.
ごめんね、ラフィール。
And that was the last time I ever saw him again.
大丈夫ですよ。
あれが最後の会話なんて、なんだかちょっとおかしいね。
I mean, we know that's not true either. We know both statements are not true.
本当に言いたいこと、ついに君には言えなかったね。ごめんね、ラフィール。さよなら、ラフィール。本当のことは言えなかったね。
Even if he dies down there, we know that they have one final conversation on his deathbed. So, we know that's not the last time she talks to him. That's just hyperbole. I mean, at the same time, I really don't like this. This is obviously just a horrible situation for all involved. Although I will say it's clear to me that the western section of the island is the one mostly to blame so far. I don't know the central, the eunuch faction, I guess we'll call them. I don't know what the central eunuchs are up to. They're clearly some sort of middle dividing line that chose to live in the best place available to them, I mean. And obviously, it doesn't seem like the thing to do is to blame the women for the Western men's aggression, and it doesn't sound like the women are doing anything right now to cause this whole rebellion other than just exist. So, I mean, until they get shown to be up to something, I'm not going to put any blame on their end. So yeah, it just seems like the whole God chose me guy is the whole problem. And you know, the only thing coming in my mind right now is just, how about we blast the western side of the island from space and take care of the whole issue right now? And that'll send a clear message to anyone else who's up to some fuckery.
そなたも私を子供扱いするんだな。
なんですって。
我々は捕虜ではない。
不敬罪よ。
聞き捨てなりませんね。あなたが出ていくおつもりのようだが、我々はここに残るのですよ。そして理想的な社会を築くつもりです。
あのアンガスンと一緒に。
ファンジョンさん、攻撃を受けています。
ここはもうすぐ地獄になるのよ。
Okay, so obviously... Okay, I'm assuming this is just some sort of copyright thing in Japanese. So, obviously... Sorry, I didn't expect that to phase out. I thought that was just going to sit there until the end. We're going to bring in the other three faction leaders and try to negotiate at a neutral table, it looks like. And during that, I guess, Warrior Guy's faction's going to attack. There was somebody dressed up as a pilot who clearly said, we're under attack. So I can only anticipate some sort of fuckery is about to start happening. And this is where episode 3 is where shit's gonna start going down. I do very much like, maybe it's a coincidence that that island was shaped like Jurassic Park, but I do very much like this more limited scope of things. And the limited scope is on the ground. The limited scope being on the ground indicates to me that it's on a personal level. At most, you're going to have groups of people operating. But we're still going to see leaders and troops and, you know, things of that nature. It's going to be people. Not people sitting in chairs, firing guns, and shooting at mines, and doing massive interlocking battles. It's going to be people on the ground interacting with one another. Maybe with guns, maybe with not. But I find that to be infinitely more interesting than the space battle. Like, even to the concept of it, infinitely more interesting than the space battles we just got. So that is what I find so much more interesting when they show us the map and the sectors and everything. Especially when they include the little blue dots of, like, I guess, townships or whatever, you know, the people are living in places. Because those are things that can be indicated, like, oh, they've taken this, turn it to red, you know, oh, that place fell or was destroyed, turn it to white, take it off the map. It's things we can keep track of in a limited fashion, and it's not like an infinite elsewhere thing. They said everybody lives here, so we know everything that's going to happen, it's going to happen here. It's not like United Mankind Fleet comes out of nowhere, and we have no scope or scale of things. Being able to keep track of information is the most interesting part of a show. Once anything can happen, and anything can happen, in which case you can't keep track of it anymore, and you've got a loss of information. Yeah, I think there's so much to go over here, but I think it's more important to go back into note-taking section so that we can figure everything out, and I have a series of talking points to go after later. So I think I'm just gonna hop into it and go into note taking. So I will see you on the other side of this. Alright, I am back from the note taking. Surprisingly, not that many notes taken. Well, not that many thoughts given in note form, rather. More so just a lot of specifics, shall we say? First off, I have the United Mankind must be so far behind the Ob technologically that their system of communications can be confusingly read as a possible attack. Like if we started the first interstellar war with our radio transmissions. It served as a poor cliffhanger from last episode, but I suppose still carries some weight when it comes to world building. And my other main thought here is the whole blowing away a part of the atmosphere threat is really the nuclear option for the Ob. And considering how little they care about the surfaces of worlds, as has been expressed across both seasons now, it feels like the most on the nose response they've given to dealing with political difficulties without having to get their hands dirty anyway. Either the threat works and everyone clams, I clearly meant calms, everyone calms down, or it has to be used and an example gets made for the next world not to do it. Either way, I feel like Madine's terror has to be due to the fact that he thinks it's something the Ob could and would do. Though I also have no idea if that would just be the result of the constant United Mankind propaganda we've already seen. And if you need an example of what I'm talking about, go back to Season 1, Crest of the Stars, and the whole conversation we had about, damn, these TV channels suck. Other than that, I just have notes like the Lobnos system. Lobnos 2 is the planet that we're currently interacting with, which is itself a correctional institution, relied on armed forces from United Mankind to control the prisoners. Prisoners have some limited access to primitive firearms. Specifically, everybody is on Leger Island, the only inhabited location on the planet, broken up into 4 districts. And then we have Guillaume Medine, Administrative Director of Lobnos 2, Acting Executive Officer via the Constitution, appointed 1 year ago, wants to seek refuge with his administration, which is about 20,000 people strong. Then we have Yuri Dokufu. Dokufu, yeah, that's right. Claims to have rightful claim to the position of Prime Minister by election. Started claiming to be Prime Minister 3 hours prior to contact with the Bass Royale. He's a prisoner. He controls the center sector. The center sector must undergo, people who live there must undergo sterilization to live in the center sector. The center sector is a mix of men and women for that reason. We also have Lala Shangal, claims to be the prime minister via election. This is something I got mixed up when I was reacting. As I said, she had like no given right. She never said anything. Apparently, I misconstrued her very first statement, which said that she too won an election to be prime minister. She's part of the women only faction and is also a prisoner. Controls the west sector. Another mistake I made. I got the west and east sectors completely mixed up, thus completely screwing up where Lala was and McKay, to be addressed later. The west sector is all women. Many were victims before they were criminals themselves. Some were victims of sexual assault, which is a very difficult path to take in anime, and I hope that Banner of the Stars 2 is going to treat it with the, I don't know if dignity is the right word, with at least the amount of respect the subject deserves to be taken with. Lastly, we also have McKay Anguson, claims God's will is the right to rule by strength and popularity. He was also a prisoner. He controls the East Sector, and the East Sector is all men. I think this episode did a fairly good job of world building, where this I hope the whole season takes place. And otherwise, I guess gave us a couple of cool shots, like the whole landing sequence, or I guess both landing sequences, because technically the atmospheric entry was part of the landing sequence. Also, the cliffhanger, not so much, I mean, it's part of the first cliffhanger, but it really does serve then that was the last conversation we had. I mean, we know it not to be true, because the very first intro flash forward shows us that they're going to have one last conversation anyway. But I do like it setting up for hey, something big is just about to crest over that hill. Get ready for it. It does a pretty good job of that. So I appreciate that is also something that this season is prepping us for, which is more character narrative. There's also the fact that the two guys on the bridge went off on their own, and now all the women on the bridge are thinking about those guys. Well, maybe not so much Ikariel, because she's pulling a "you're getting pretty bossy now" card. But the idea being that, I did know her name for a bit. The aviation specialist, her drinking buddy, is off with Jinto, and they're both considering the safety of them. I mean, it is segregating the members of the bridge crew in much the same way as the prisoners on the island have been segregated, except that we don't have the mixed section going on. Either way, I think those are my post note-taking thoughts. I'm sure I actually have a couple more rolling around in there, but nothing else is coming to my mind at the moment. Again, another 2 a.m. recording. I apologize. Otherwise, though, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up today. So, once again, thank you for joining me on another episode of Banner of the Stars, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?